Hello, and welcome to my next development in my project, which is the scene creation. So this beginning section just here is a little time lapse of me actually creating my scene, and this is intended for displaying the products in their environment in which they were supposedly grown. Um, so a bit further on down into the time lapse, you'll see where I start to add textures and images to really bring it to life. But this main video is basically comprised of the scene creation itself, displayed like right here now, image sourcing, and that's the background images and also some HDRIs, as I did a bit of experimentation, which I'll go into in more detail later. Um, Also, model adjustments. As you can see just there, I've imported a model into the scene and basically played around with that. As well as this cap creation to actually cap off the top of the model, and also label integration, which is at the very end. So apart from that, I hope you enjoy it. There is a mixture of commentary in this as well, so explaining what I'm doing, but for the most part it's just good old time lapses. So thanks for watching. Stick around for the later part of the video where I evaluate this whole process and how it is, and I basically go over some things which need to be readjusted, which I will do in future posts. So thank you very much for watching, stay tuned and enjoy. Hello, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. Since I ended it, I've just been making a couple. Oh, I've been making a couple more tweaks to the scene, and basically the whole setup the of the like yeah of the scene basically. And that's mainly been the materials, and then also I've collected a couple more HDRIs. So initially there were just two. I put three more in, um, and yeah, I've just basically been testing it really. So this is the final thing, which this is the final shot. It's hard to see, but there are grey bands at the top and bottom, and this is the final product, the final thing which I ended up with. And I've just been basically testing different lighting setups with the HDRIs, and really focusing on the reflection. And also here you can see I've been playing around with the blurriness, but this was on a very low setting, so the model doesn't look good, nor does the blur. And yeah, it's the results are fairly easy to make out. You can see them for yourself. But yeah, this is the final thing. I'm not sure if this is too bright. I might have to dial it back a little bit. But overall, really happy. I'm not too sure about the colour of the wood in comparison with the background. Also, in my planning, in some of the sketches I had for this, I wanted a tree to be in the background. So I might add that in Photoshop, add it to the actual image, and then re-import the image. And as well, I also want to add the logo to see what that looks like with everything in place, so it's all kind of contextualized. This will really help to gauge on everything. And this isn't my final decision on the model, like the bottle model as well. This was just the first one, which was open in the bottle splines other file where in which I modelled all of them. So this is just the first one that I grabbed. So I'm going to go ahead and add the label to kind of see what it all looks like, and then additionally I might also add a cap, a silver metal. It'll either be a silver metal screw cap. I was going to say either like a kind of pop top or just a screw, but I put the threads in at the top, so it will be a screw cap. So stick around, and I shall be back in just a moment. Hello, and welcome back again. Um, as you can see, this is the final outcome of the model. I quickly modelled out the cap, which if I quickly go into this here, you can see. This was again basically done in the same manner in which the bottle and the liquid were all done. It was I added a bit of a unique shape, unique shape to it as well. So it's got that little rise, dip, and then a rise again. Although you can't really see that in there, I thought it'd be one of those little things that'd be nice and visually interesting to look at. So you can see here that again it's just the spline, the same way that the liquid and the bottle are made. It's just the spline put into a lathe nerve, and then again put into a surface division. And this was really good because it allowed it to smooth it all out and create like a really nice organic shape. And if we quickly go into all of the different views here, we can see that all of the other elements, such as like the threads, even though they're not properly threads, they're just protrusions in a circular shape. They're not even being contacted, and this might be a little bit difficult to see, but basically got this profile here. Actually, wait, hang on. If I just turn the lathe nerve off, there you go. There's the profile that was set. So you got that rise, then the dip, and then the rise again. Then I kind of added like a little bit of a lip here, as looking at real bottles, like real metal bottles, they have a where it's punched by the machine. They often roll the inside edges up so it's nice and smooth, and it doesn't cut the user whenever they take it off. This has basically done the same look, so it's got like a little overhang there, and it just goes up and then hooks back round, and there's still a nice gap between the two profiles, and then it just because the underside here is completely flat, that's just that sharp corner is just rounded off, and that works really well. Going back into this, I have also added the label, and this was really difficult to get onto here, and I'm not sure why it took so long, but I'll basically take you through how I did it. So basically the label was sorry. So the label was put into the color channel of the material, and as you can see, it's got a white background, which I didn't tick from Illustrator. I exported it as a PNG with a transparent background. For some reason, that gets exported with a white background or imported with a white background into Cinema. So I simply just went into the alpha channel, added the same image, and then that basically just got rid of the background. And as you can see from this image here, white means on and black means off. So what it's done there is basically cut out the label, which is really well. If I wanted to invert that, that's what would happen. So you kind of get the reverse vector, which in comparison is actually kind of cool. So that's just something else to look at. In addition to this, I've also tried to add the white background as well. And this is even more difficult, but we can try and do the same, because the actual label itself isn't visible. Oh, and it does work. Look, cool. So what I'll do is I'll add this as well to the lathe, and this will be a nice little quick insight as to how it looks. And there we go. So that has reproduced the same effect. So what I'll do is I'll just delete that quickly. Quick save. We'll go back into the camera. And we'll render this out. So after some time rendering, this is the final product, and it looks really good. The change of the HDRI works really well, as you've just got two bright bars, which works really effectively to highlight the product. It might need to have its rotation changed just a little bit so that so you see you've got the reflection there, a black bar reflection there, you've got a black bar again. I might just try and center that a bit better. In addition here, you can also see the wooden table, so that might need to be drawn back a bit. But in terms of the like the label and the cap looks really good, especially with a high roughness. It looks really realistic. However, the label will need to be addressed. I've noted down that the smaller text here is you've got fresh pressed juice #1 organic. The fresh pressed juice looks really well. It looks really good. Sorry. However, the other fonts such as organic and the different fruits definitely need to be either enlarged or made bolder, or being put into a bolder typeface. I think that'd be really beneficial. And I've also as well noted that it could all do with being pushed up slightly or condensed. Having so the logo here looks really good. However, like the title as well, the product name fructus could also be doing with being put into a bolder typeface. I've also as well included the milliliters and ounce weights. Or volume. They could also do with being put into a bolder font. And yeah, I'm also contemplating now, because this is meant to be a minimalist product, does the branding, the way in which this looks, does it suit the background? And I'm going to play around with this, because obviously I've said before that or if I haven't, the table I don't think ties in very well with the background. It's two kind of like merged pieces which don't necessarily support each other or complement each other. So I might try a more modern, cleaner background, where I might use like a marble surface on the bottom, on the floor here, and then like a plain white background or a black background or something like that. Something to make it, something maybe just to mix it up and suit the branding here in the label. Apart from that, this will pretty much be the final aspect of the modeling. Obviously, I've got different colors. I still need to make some more, and they could also do with some work on. Obviously, that just looks like a big purple mass. And personally, I think the orange looks a lot better. However, this then draws into another problematic issue of the label color. So if I go back into here, I add the orange liquid to there, and then I then render it again. And we'll pick up once this is rendered. However, the main question is whether the white or the lighter label, the white label, can suit the lighter colours like that, whether it can stand out enough for it to still be visible in the renders. So we'll wait for this to render, and then we'll discuss it further. So now that this is rendered, it doesn't look too bad. It looks all right. I definitely think it'll be a lot easier to determine whether this white label will look better on a lighter fluid, especially once it's all sorted out. So you got all these this all small text down here. I think, to be fair, it's hard to make a snap decision right now. So I'm going to make the changes to the label, and then I'm going to re-upload another render. But for now, I'm going to save this render and post it up with this video in a blog post. Um, but yeah, so apart from that, not too bad. So thanks very much for watching and stay tuned.